Well, up next, we meet Father Mike Schmitz, who is the chaplain for Newman Catholic Campus Ministries at the University of Minnesota Duluth. He also speaks around the country and has a video series. He talks with us about those videos, as well as the faith and challenges facing Catholic college students.
Not only that, remember your first week of being on campus? And you're like stressing out, like, okay, what should are flip-flops too like informal, or like, is that like a past thing? Should I wear dock shoes? Maybe this is a guy thing, but like, or maybe they don't care, I guess. Should I wear a dress? Is this a dress thing? Is it a shorts thing? Is it a capri thing?
The biggest challenge our Catholic college students face is our culture says what Scripture says. Scripture says that people cry out, peace, peace, when there is no peace. And so everyone's saying peace, but all of a sudden, wait, but I find myself in a battle. And people say, no, there's peace, but I find myself like in a struggle. We have a culture that keeps saying tolerance, tolerance, but there is no real tolerance. Or acceptance, acceptance, but there is no acceptance. What I mean by that is the culture around says, you're not in a battle, no one's trying to take your faith away, you're not in a fight. But then our students say, okay, I'll live like that everyone around me is going to support me in my faith. And then they realize that, no, there's actually obstacles. Now, I'm not saying people are being, in our country, are being truly persecuted. I mean, when someone tweets something negative about you, that's not real persecution, that's digital persecution, which is not real. But at the same time, I find our Catholic college students live in this culture on campus that says we accept everybody, but if you believe X, Y, and Z, which you believe as Catholics, we don't accept you. And so what that can do is put us into a state of not real, recognizing that actually I have to fight for this. If I'm going to really believe and follow after Jesus, I'm going to have to fight for it. And I think that takes a lot of people by surprise.
Becoming Christian, becoming Catholic, the early church took 3 years. Why? Because the early church, I mean, except for that one first day, Pentecost, where it took like 1 hour, and then like 3,000 people came into the church.
I think the best way to minister to the students who aren't Catholic, or those who don't even have any Christian background, is, well, we just keep presenting Jesus to them. And the very fact that someone is open and curious is a huge sign. So Sherry Waddell has her book, Forming Intentional Disciples, and she talks about the 5 thresholds of conversion. The first threshold, I think, is openness. There's some kind of level of trust. If they come to me, or if I get to have a conversation or a relationship with them, that means there's some level of trust and they're open. If they keep wanting to meet, that means at some level they're curious. That's the second threshold, they're curious. The next level is they're seeking. So if they're at that place of like, I want to meet with you because I have big questions, that's phenomenal, because I would say that, well, Jesus is the answer, and the Catholic Church has the fullness of the answer for every person who's seeking. I think the impact of the videos is, I know a lot of people who use them as, someone came to me and they asked me a question about purgatory, and so I showed them this video. Or someone asked me a question about how do you read the Bible as Catholics? So I showed them this video. That can really help. Another thing it does is, what I've talked to people, or they've contacted me saying that the videos help them kind of own and understand their faith. Maybe say it like this, understand and own their faith. So one of the things that I struggled with growing up was, I want to know why we believe what we believe. I guess maybe I'll first say, I want to know what we believe. Then I want to know why we believe what we believe. I want to be able to tell people why we believe what we believe. And one of the goals that I have with all the videos is just to say in simple language, because I'm not the smartest person. I always say I'm the poor man's Father Barron, or poor man's Bishop Barron, because he's smart, like he's genius level. He's really accessible, right? And he really can communicate big truths in a really straightforward way. C.S. Lewis is one of my heroes, and he can communicate these big truths in a really accessible way. And Peter Kraft, same kind of thing, big truths in a really accessible way. And so I've always wanted to be like those guys. Because why? Because I think anyone could know a lot about how to explain metaphysics to another metaphysician, or neuroscience to another neuroscientist. But if you can explain these big things to a 5th grader, then you really must know it. And the biggest thing in the world is God. So we can explain the mysteries of God, in the way, as we know them, as we strive to know them, to someone that says, oh my gosh, that makes sense to me. I now know I can understand this, and now I can own it. That's the main goal.
I do my life, right? That's my least favorite saying of 2016. Hey dude, what are you gonna do? Oh, I'm gonna do something else. Okay man, you do you. You do you, come over here, I can punch my finger in your face. My fingertip? What's that? I'm doing me, man.
My biggest desire for our Catholic college students is that they become mature disciples of Jesus. What I mean by that is, so a lot of us have what we might call greenhouse faith. And that's what youth group is meant to do. That's what some campus ministries are, and that's what some ministries are, is a greenhouse faith, which means, okay, you have a greenhouse when there's a plant that is too delicate to live in the wild, because the environment is too hostile to it. And that's what happens, right? You need to have a greenhouse for that kind of thing. When it's growing and it's vulnerable, when it can't live in the wild, so you have it live in the greenhouse. That's awesome, but at some point it's got to have the kind of support system, it's got to have this kind of life in it that can live in any environment. And so my biggest desire for our Catholic college students is that they become mature disciples, which means they have had a greenhouse time. They become strong enough to then be transplanted to any environment where they can thrive in any environment.
Thanks to Father Mike for speaking with us. If you want to check out Father Mike's videos, you can go to ascensionpresents.com.